Hello and welcome back to another episode of Hudson Auto Films. Wait 1 minute, this is Charlie from the future. As you can tell, my hair is even more disgraceful. It's actually been 2 months since I filmed this video. I've had to film loads of content in a funny order and do these different things because I've been in America and I haven't been able to film content. But this is the last video like this. Next week, there'll be more car videos actually working on the cars. So bear with me. I've tried my best to maintain putting videos out whilst not being here. But yeah, back to the builds next week. But until then, enjoy this slightly different video. Today is a little bit different. There's quite a few more of you on the channel now, and lots of people ask questions about the builds, what cars are here, what we're doing, all that sort of thing. So today is really a catch up of where the cars are at their current point, what cars there are, what cars you haven't seen, all that sort of thing. Obviously, mainly focusing on the Astons as they are why most of you are here. But let's get into it, go over the cars and see where they are. So here is the 1969 Aston Martin DBS Vantage. When I bought the car, it still had partially the body on, which I'll insert pictures so you can see how it arrived and how it is now. Over the last few episodes, we've done a complete strip down to get it to this stage so we can start welding it. Well, before we start welding, brace and sandblast. As you can see, the bracing has begun. There's a video on that already. But this is quite a project. It's unusual to see an Aston in this shape for sure, but I'm excited by it and it's not as bad as it looks. You know, it's such a simple car to repair in my opinion, and our saving grace is we're not going for a fully original restoration. If we wanted to go for a perfect restoration, without a doubt, it would be uneconomical to restore. But in this case, we're going to get it welded up, make sure everything's straight and lovely. Then we're going to do a resto mod. So the front end is going to be more of a tube frame style, just on the upper section. It's going to have a much more aggressive engine, but we're talking 3 times the original power, which is obviously going to mean lots more modifications, additional chassis strength, roll cage, probably have to do some diff work. I don't doubt that. It unfortunately means we probably can't use wire wheels on it unless we have a custom wire wheel made, which has some form of internal strengthening because wire wheels will twist. But those are problems we don't have to think about for a long time. What's next is to finish the bracing, making sure the car is completely straight before we get it up on the rotisserie, which is coming very shortly. Then it's sandblasting, then we can weld it up. Once it's welded, we can start building the car back up in its new revised form. I am still hunting for a front end. I don't mind whether I put a DBS front end on or an AMV8 front end. They'll both fit and I'm not fussed. This isn't going to be a original car in any sense other than the numbers on the front. But yeah, so it's really exciting and I'm really pleased. I was expecting a lot worse. The chassis itself, even though it's got holes in it, everything has remained straight, even though it does flex, but somehow in its resting form, it is still very straight, which is good, which is why we're bracing it. Initially, I was thinking kind of a rat rod style, you know, leave all the patina and that sort of thing, but I don't think that's the case anymore. And the reason is, obviously I've had to cut the rear end off. I'm having to do a lot of cutting on the body. And yes, I could just weld it back up once the car is done, but I just don't think it will look as authentic. If the car wasn't as rusty and we were just putting an engine in it, I think that'd be different. But because we're having to go this far, I think I will make it look nice. I've got some ideas. I'm thinking white, I'm thinking of putting the kind of ducktail spoiler on they had on the later AMV8s. Obviously front end will be proper and I think it will be a folding front end. So we can have full access to our much bigger engine and the tube frame, all of that sort of thing. It's very much going to be a road racing car kind of theme. And on that front, the interior, again, roll cage, it's going to be very stripped out, but still well trimmed, kind of a gentleman's racing car. So yeah, you can kind of imagine it, very simple door cards, but leather trimmed, much more load bearing seats with the matching trim. I'm thinking the dashboard is very much like a missile switch type setup. I want to feel like I'm in a fighter jet. So yeah, it's really exciting and it's really nice to have a car, which I love. I love the DBSs, as you know, but to have one which is in such a condition and has had such a life that I do have a creative license with it. I'm not destroying a piece of history any more than it's already destroyed. This method allows it actually to see the road again, whereas it probably never would have. You know, even with Astons, there are points where they are beyond saving. or beyond, economical repair, especially when engines are missing and all that sort of thing. And especially with the DBSs, which are, certainly not the same kind of value as a DB5. If it was a DB5, obviously, those restorations, often there's none of the original car left by the time they're done. But yeah, so that is the plan for that. I'm really excited. It's brought a lot of you to this channel, and I'm glad you're all enjoying it. And yeah, it's going to be so much progress this year. Every step is quite dramatic and exciting, from removing the body to sandblasting to the welding. So it's really going to be exciting, and I would like to have it rolling by summer, which might sound ambitious, but the welding won't take terribly long. I've got all the metal ready. And yeah, one thing a few people have complained about on this channel is less talking, more work. And obviously this video is different. This is just kind of an update of what's going on. But the thing with these cars is they take so much longer than just a Mazda MX-5 or something like that. When you're dealing with an old Aston, it's a completely different animal. And there has to be so much consideration and thought and planning before you do anything, before you make a cut. It's there's so much more riding on it, and the parts are so much harder to get. So you really have to be sure, are you cutting the right thing? Is it safe to do that? So I know a lot of you respect that and understand that, but for those of you who don't, it's not the same. Unfortunately, the ability to make massive progress each week is just not really viable in my current situation. Unfortunately, it's not something where you can just bolt a turbo on it or new wheels. These are hand-built cars, and it's a big job. But on to the next car. So this one obviously is a lot further along. This is my 1971 Aston Martin DBS V8. When I got the car, it was a complete mess. I've obviously done a whole video on that, which has also brought a lot of you here. Where we are with the car, we're currently sanding from the A-pillars back, trying to get the metal work as nice as we can. Again, a very slow process, a very careful process. Getting divots out, but also knowing when to stop is a hard thing because you don't want to thin aluminium too much. Once that is all done, the next step for me is to fix the front end. I'm still hunting for a complete new front end. I know there's one out there somewhere, but if that doesn't come through, then I have a partial front end, which would basically fit on around here, which would then remove all of this nastiness and leave us with a much better setup. And then this area is fairly simple. So that's the plan with that. Finish the rear end, front end, do all the body work on the car to a certain point. The car doesn't need any welding on the chassis or anything. It's really good. And obviously there is no engine. When I got the car, it was fitted with a Chrysler Mopar engine. This was for a few reasons, mainly because it's got an automatic gearbox and it's retained the original gearbox, which, fun fact is, they were Chrysler gearboxes. The engine is being fully rebuilt. I'm still hunting for the original engine, but I'm not having much luck. It's probably on a shelf somewhere in a shed. A lot of the earlier engines weren't brilliant. This is obviously an early V8 car, and a lot of them did go bang, so it might not exist anymore. But if I can find it, I'd love to buy it. So if anybody knows where it is or has any insights, that'd be great. With any of the cars, if anybody has any historical insights, I'd love to know. But yeah, so if that doesn't go to plan, then the Mopar engine is currently being rebuilt. It is almost done, and it is being built for much higher power. It's pushing out around 550 horsepower at the crank, which is really cool. And that will certainly make the car very fun. So regardless of what happens with the engine situation, we will have a very fun car. Once we get the engine back and all the body work's done, we'll treat the bay, refresh that, make it beautiful, and then we can start putting it back together. It's, again, probably going to be a resto mod, but it feels nice to be giving this car another chance at life. And yeah, I'm really excited for this car. It's coming together well, which is a long, arduous process like the other one. But yeah, we're making moves. Now I'm going to show you a car which I haven't introduced to the channel. And unlike these cars, it actually works, so we can take it for a drive. And yes, we are continuing the theme of Aston Martin. So these are two cars I haven't spoken about. Importantly in this video is the 2005 Aston Martin DB9. absolute dream machine to me. It's just such an iconic car in the modern history of Aston. And that's the Morris Minor. That's up for sale right now, so that's probably gone. But I thought, I haven't taken the Aston out in a couple of weeks, so I want to pull it out, get it started, get it up to temperature and give it a quick spin before I head off for a little bit. So yeah, it's just, I love this car. It's beautiful. Time for a cold start. Probably my favourite part is this exhaust note. It never gets old. So, little disclaimer, this car isn't broken at all, but for the sake of a catchy title, I had to say 3 broken Aston Martins. But this is my 2005 Aston Martin DB9. It's, yeah, the first iteration of the DB9 model, and it's just wonderful. It's done, I think, 35,000 miles, and it's in great condition, and I love it. It's just amazing. Unfortunately, insurance is quite a nightmare due to my age, but yeah, we don't have to worry about that too much at the moment because I don't drive it that much, but soon I'm 25 and things should drop a little bit more, fingers crossed, so this car can get a bit more use. Yeah, it's the launch edition colour, which the name escapes me, something grey. I'll insert it now. And yeah, it's got the lovely dark brown interior, which I think is really classy. A lot of the interiors of this era, because the leather quality was a bit all over the place, they can look a bit dodgy, especially the cream ones, and they did all sorts of reds and greens, which didn't age very well, but it's obviously quite a low mileage car and it's had a very good life. And as a result, the interior just looks beautiful, and I love the leather interior. The brown, it's not to everyone's taste, but I think it's very classic, and it's just a good all-round Aston spec, which really shows off the car for its best. And to me, the DB9 was a huge turning point for the company. Obviously, the DB7 is the car which really saved the company, but the DB9 is when they really started to get things right. I know some people say, oh, it's just a Ford in disguise, which I think is a massive exaggeration. Yes, the engine was derived from a Ford engine, putting 2 together, but there's a few good videos on it now. It's not really, but yeah, it's just fantastic. And whether it's a Ford engine or not, it sounds amazing. Sounds better than any Ford, except for maybe a Ford GT. And yeah, just spot on car. And to me, it's the most iconic modern Aston, I'd say. You know, obviously the most iconic one is always going to be the DB5, but I feel like this comes in a close second. I love the modern Astons, but I suppose this is the car I grew up seeing it on the wall, posters, that sort of thing. So it's kind of my childhood dream, and yeah, it's a great car. So let's go for a quick spin in it, and just get it up to temperature and have some fun. So we're just going round the block at the moment. It's quite tight, and it's a very wide car. I'm pretty sure it's got the same wheelbase as a Defender 110, which is quite massive if you think about it. The boot sensor needs sorting, which they always go, but I don't know, it's just such a beautiful car, and the noise it makes is just berserk, which we'll show off in 1 minute. Just putting it through its paces, making sure the brakes are all good, having not driven it in a couple of weeks. It's very low, and it obviously doesn't have a lift system because it's 2005. But yeah, now the car's warmed up, we can put it through its paces a little bit, just a little bit. We're in a neighbourhood, so we don't want to upset anybody too much.
A little bit. Woo!
Right. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I know it's a different video. I've been doing a few different style videos, and that's for a few reasons. I've had to travel to America for 2 months, which meant I had to put together a huge amount of content in a short period of time. I had 2 weeks notice, and I had to make enough content for at least a video uploaded every 2 weeks for that 8-week period. So by the time this is out, I'll well and truly be home and we can get back to the builds, and lots is coming. But thank you for being patient and enduring slightly different content. And I'm excited to build these cars. So we've got lots to do, lots of work on the red Aston, lots of work on the silver Aston, lots of work on the Lancia. And I think that's all we've got at the moment. Well, Reliant Robin, the Lotus, sold my Defender, sold the TR, sold the Morris Minor. So yeah, we're leaning back so we can focus on these complete messes of history. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, all that sort of thing. And for bonus content and to help support the channel, please check out the Patreon. It's linked below. Any money that is made from that goes straight into the builds, helps me make content quicker and build these cars. In an ideal world, I'd like to be able to do this every day, but it's just not at that point financially. I'm still working, obviously. I have a proper job as well as this. So yeah, it'd be great to put out a video a week, but I need a lot more time and a lot more stability to do that. So please consider checking out the Patreon, bonus content, daily content, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you so much for watching and take care.